Our lesson today is about comparison of adjectives, and we will cover here not only the regular adjectives in Latin, but also some special way of comparison, and thirdly, the irregular comparison of adjectives. In Latin, we also find three different degrees of adjectives, just like in English. We have the positive degree, which indicates the basic quality or quantity associated with a noun modifier. Then we have the comparative degree when we compare one with another. And thirdly, the superlative degree, which indicates the greatest amount of quality or quantity modified by the adjective. So, more important is to know how to form the comparative and superlative degrees of regular adjectives. And the procedure is this. We take the stem of the positive degree of the adjective, and for comparative degree, you will add the ending eor, which is an ending for the masculine and feminine, and eus for the neuter form. That is how you form the comparative. So the question that comes to mind is, how do you get the stem of the adjective, the positive degree adjective? So the simple instruction is to get the genitive singular of the adjective, drop the ending, and you get the stem. And to that stem, in order to form the comparative degree, you add eor. So, for example, you have there below, carus, cari, drop I of cari, the genitive, and you have car. So you will add eor, you have carior for masculine and feminine, and ius, carius for neuter. Another example given there, fortis, and the genitive of fortis is fortis. So drop the is, you have fort. So you just add eor, so you have fortior, fortius. Felix, felicis. So you see, you will notice that there is a change in the spelling of the genitive singular. So the stem is not felix, but felic. And to that, you will add eor and eus, felicior, felicius. And finally, you have the fourth example given there is potens, potentis. So the genitive is potentis, drop is, and you will get the stem potent. And add eor, potentior, eus, potentius. So that is so far as the comparative degrees. Now, how about the superlative form? How do you form the superlative? The same. The same stem, you will add isimus, isima, isimum. So, the example, car, from carus. Carissimus, carissima, carissimum. Fortis, you have fort. Fortissimus, fortissima, fortissimum. Felix, felicis, you have felic. Felicissimus, felicissima, felicissimum. And potent, from potens, potentis, you have potentissimus, potentissima, potentissimo. So that is how you form the comparative and superlative degrees of regular adjectives. Let us now come to the declension of both the comparative and the superlative adjective. So it is important to know the declension of these forms of adjectives. Why? Because remember that in the rule of agreement, the adjective must always agree with a noun or pronoun. It modifies in number, gender, and case. And You determine the number, gender, and case by the declension. So giving the different forms of the adjective, whether masculine, feminine, or neuter, gender, and then singular or plural, number, and then the 5 different cases: nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. Okay, now for the comparative degree of adjectives, you will decline them like the adjectives of the third declension with 2 endings. But there are some exceptions, and it is noted below. So, how do we do it? So there's therefore the need to go back and learn or review the declension of third declension adjectives with 2 endings. Remember that the third declension adjectives are grouped into 3 different groupings depending upon the form of the nominative singular. So when we talk about 2 endings, it means that for masculine and feminine, you have just this one and the same ending. And the second ending is for the neuter. So masculine, feminine is counted only as one, and the neuter as the second one. That is why the example given there, the adjective fortis in the comparative degree is declined like an adjective with 2 endings. 2 endings because there is only one ending shared by the masculine and feminine, and another ending for the neuter. So, look at the declension. You have forsure, fortius, fortioris, fortioris, fortiori, fortiori, fortiorem, fortius, for neuter. Ablative, fortiore, So, third declension adjectives have I. But here, you have a different ending, for the comparative, fortiore, fortiori. Plural, fortiores, fortiora, fortiorum, fortiorum, fortioribus, fortioribus, fortiores, fortior, fortiora, fortioribus, fortioribus. So what is different here is the ending of the genitive plural, not ium, like the ordinary adjectives of the third declension with 2 endings, ium. So this time, not ium, but So that is how you decline the comparative degree. Now, for the superlative, not very difficult because they are declined like the adjectives of the first and second declension, like manius, mania, manium, masculine, feminine, neuter. So mani, manie, mani, manio, manie, manio, manium, maniam, manio, manio, mania, manio, etc., etc. So there is no problem with that. So when you use the comparison, when you make a comparison in a sentence, there is the need of the conjunction quam, or in English, than. So for example, in English we say, a pen is mightier than a sword. So quam is the conjunction to connect the person or thing compared to the first person or thing. So example given there, a pen is mightier than a sword. So a sword is being compared to pen, and than connects sword with pen. And you have the adjective is in the comparative degree, mightier. So in Latin, stilus est potentiur quam gladius. Stilus est potentior quam gladius. So take note, gladius is the thing being compared to Stilus, and it agrees with Stilus in case. Stilus is nominative, gladius should be nominative. Gladius is connected to Stilus by the conjunction quam after the comparative form of the adjective. So, if you take a look at potential, potential is the comparative of potens. It agrees with Stilus in number, gender, and case because here potential is a complement or predicate adjective, and we know from the rule agreement that complement adjective or predicate adjective agrees with the subject in number, gender, and case. So Stilus is masculine, potential is masculine. It is nominative, potential is nominative. Stilus is singular, potential is singular. The thing compared, as we have said, gladius, that is the grammatical function of gladius, a thing compared, agrees with Stilus in case only. Okay. Another example, here we have an indirect statement. Dixit stilum esse potentiorem quam gladium. He said that a pen is mightier than a sword. So you have an indirect statement. Stilum esse potentiorem quam gladium. From the previous lesson, we have learned that the subject of an indirect statement is placed in the accusative case. That's why you use stilum, the subject of the indirect statement. And you have the verb in the infinitive. So the verb of an indirect statement is in the infinitive form. In this case, it is the verb esse, and it retains the subject, linking verb, complement adjective, basic sentence pattern. That's why potentiorem is in the accusative case. We no longer use potential. Why? Because potentiorem must agree with stilum in number, gender, and case. Stilum is now in the accusative, so you use the accusative form of the comparative adjective potential, which is potentiorem. Then gladium. Why gladium? The thing compared, as we have said, agrees with the person or thing to which it is compared. So here, stilum. Gladium is compared to stilum. So since stilum is now accusative, gladium should also be accusative. So because gladium agrees with stilum in case. Okay. So that is how we regularly use quam together with the comparative degree, so which is the equivalent of than in English. However, quam is also an adverb, and as an adverb, it can be used with superlatives. And when it is used with superlatives, quam is equivalent to the English construction as blank as possible. For example, there, Antoninus erat vir quam fortissimus. So the translation would be, Antoninus was a man as strong as possible. So that is a special usage of quam, but this time quam is not a conjunction. It does not connect anything, but here it functions as an adverb. And as an adverb, it modifies fortissimus. Because the function of an adverb generally is that it modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. In this case, quam is the modifier of fortissimus. So that's why in English it is as strong as possible. So that is the special usage of quam as an adverb, not as a conjunction. But as a conjunction, quam is regularly used with the comparative. Now, the comparative and the superlative can also have special meanings. The comparative sometimes has the force of two or rather. So when there is nothing, no person or thing to be compared, but you use the comparative, the meaning is in English two or rather. Example, vita eius erat brevior. So nothing is being compared there in that sentence. It is translated in English into his life was too short or rather short. Okay. And for the superlative, sometimes it has the force of very instead of the usual way we translate the superlative as in English, you use est or most. Example given there. Vita eius erat brevissima can mean life, his life was very short. So that is the special meaning of both the comparative and superlative forms of the adjective. Let us now turn to this not irregularity. This is also a special form only in the superlative degree and only two kinds of adjectives. So there are two groups of adjectives that are generally regular. However, when they are in the superlative, they have a special form, a peculiar form in the superlative. There are 6 adjectives in Latin ending in lis. So I did not list those 6 here anymore for lack of space. So it is your responsibility to know which are those 6 adjectives ending in lis. You already have here 1. And those ending with lis, you form the superlative by adding limus, lima, limum to the stem. No longer isimus, isima, isimum. That is the regular way of doing the superlative. By adding isimus, isima, isimum to the stem. But this time, these 6 adjectives ending in lis, you simply add limus, lima, limum. So the example given here is facilis, facile, lis, ending in lis. So comparative, regular, facilior, facilius, but in the superlative, instead of saying facilissimus, you just say facilimos, double L. Facilima, facilimum. So the opposite of facilis is difficilis, another adjective ending in lis. So, duwa na. Apat na sa nang hapon nindo. So, you can also say difficilimus, difficilima, difficilimus. So you no longer say difficilissimos, difficilissimus, difficilissima, difficil. No. Just add limus, lima, limum to these 6 adjectives ending in lis. The second group of adjectives are adjectives which in the nominative singular masculine form ends in er, regardless of the declension, whether it is third declension adjective, whether it is first or second declension adjective. Basta, as long as the masculine nominative singular ends in er, you will form the superlative degree by adding rimus, rima, rimum to the masculine ending in er. So you do not have to drop anything anymore. You will just add to the nominative singular ending in er. Example, liber, libera, liberon. So comparative degree, liberius, liberius, regular. But for the superlative degree, You do not say liberissimus, liberissima, liberissimum. No. You say liberimus, liberima, liberimo. So that is an example of an adjective whose masculine singular nominative ends in er. So liber, libera, liberum belongs to the first and second declension. I can think of an adjective belonging to the third declension, like acer, acris, acre. Acer, nominative singular masculine, ending in er. So for the superlative, you do not say acerissimus, but you will say acerrimus, acerrima, acerrimo. So we come now to the irregular forms of comparison. So these are adjectives with irregular comparison. So just like in English, in Latin, there are also adjectives which have irregularities in the comparison. No? For example, in English, you do not say good, gooder, goodest. Huh? You say good, better, best. Or you don't say bad, badder, baddest. No. Regular, bad, worse, worst. So in Latin, we have here, I have listed here several adjectives with irregular comparison. So bonus, bona, bonum, the comparative is melior, melius. Superlative, optimus, optima, optimum. You see how different they are. From bonus, it becomes melior, becomes optimus. Next is manius, mania, manium. Major, maius, maximus, maximum, maximum. Malus, mala, malum. Peior, peius. Pessimus, pessima, pessimum. And all the rest here. So we cannot do anything about this because this is how the language developed and how it treats us. Just like in English, we cannot do anything but say good, better, best. You do not say good, gooder, goodest. So be familiar with this irregular comparison, these adjectives with irregular comparison. Now, among those adjectives in the previous page with irregularities, here we have a very irregular form of the adjective, which is plus. In the previous page, plus is the form, the comparative form neuter of the verb, of the adjective multus, multa, multum, many. So here, the declension given here of plus, you will notice that in the singular, you do not have masculine and feminine. Plus, in the singular form, has only neuter. And among the neuter, there is no dative case. So, plus pluris, blank, plus plure. But for the plural, you have regular, plures, plura, plurium, plurium, pluribus, pluribus, plures, plura, pluribus, pluribus. What is it so? In addition to this irregular form, even in usage, you have irregularity. Plus, in the singular, is used only as a noun, never as an adjective. Never as an adjective. So, remember this. Plus is used only as a noun. And when used as a noun, it is commonly followed by a genitive. For example, you say plus pecuniae. But in English, the idea is more money. It appears that in English, it is just like an adjective, more, modifying money. But in Latin, no. Plus is not an adjective. It is a noun. And it accompanies a genitive case. So that if you want to say more money in Latin, you will say plus pecunye. Plus pecunye. So pecunye here, genitive, is sometimes called as the partitive genitive. Huh? Partitive genitive. We will learn that later on. So plus in a singular is used only as a noun. Do not forget this. And it is commonly followed by a genitive. So thus far our lesson for today.